Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. Well, we got some more news out of Florida, family. Not surprised at all, but the news that I'm about to share is not even needed, technically. What they're doing is not needed, not the news, but what they are doing is not needed. So the state Supreme Court rules that the Florida Stand Your Ground laws also apply to police officers. Now, the reason I don't believe it's needed is because they've already been doing what they want to do. They've been getting away with killing black people. And even when there are cases or situations to where it's very clear that the officer is in the wrong, they get away with it. I mean, for goodness sake, George Zimmerman wasn't even a police officer, and he was able to get away with stand your ground, right? Now, a lot of people say, well, he didn't use the stand your ground in this case. Yes, he did. They love to play on words. They love to try to deflect and lie and manipulate. But anyway, I'm going to roll a very short audio clip, and I will be right back. In a landmark decision, Florida State Supreme Court ruled Thursday that its officers can use the state's Stand Your Ground self-defense law. In doing so, officers will be able to shield themselves from prosecution in instances involving disputed shootings. In its ruling, the court determined that police officers have the same rights as other Florida citizens who win immunity from prosecution under the law, according to the New York Times. Lawyer Eric Swartzreich, who successfully argued that police officers shouldn't be excluded from the protections that Stand Your Ground offers, was elated at the news. It's a landmark, groundmarking case, he said. He recently represented a sheriff's deputy who was involved in a fatal shooting of a black man. It's the first time Stand Your Ground is used in the state of Florida in reference to police. The implications are wide-ranging. According to legal analysts, the ruling could allow police officers to avoid jury trials entirely if fatal shootings occur and the offending officer believes that they were acting in self-defense, despite the availability of alternative options. In explaining its decision, the court stated, "Put simply, a law enforcement officer is a person, whether on or off duty. Police officers already have full immunity to kill us at will," said Tiffany Burks, a Black Lives Matter Alliance Broward activist. "This is an extra bonus on top of that. It really is a slap in the face, a blatant one at that." The case that triggered this landmark decision involved the 2013 killing of Jermaine McBean, a mentally ill computer engineer who was walking down a street in Oakland Park with an air rifle slung across his shoulder. As he entered his apartment complex screaming to himself, witnesses called the police. 3 Broward County Sheriff's deputies arrived on the scene and ordered him to relieve himself of the rifle. However, McBean, who apparently didn't hear them due to the music he was listening to in his earbuds, failed to do so. Peter A. Peraza, the deputy charged in the case, claimed that McBean then turned and pointed the rifle at the officers, so he fired 3 shots, killing him. But witnesses assert that McBean never pointed the weapon. 2 years later, Peraza was eventually indicted, becoming the first law enforcement officer to be charged in an on-duty killing in Florida in decades. Peraza requested Stand Your Ground protection in court and won, but the state appealed. However, the 4th District Court of Appeal upheld it. But since the decision conflicted with prior appellate ruling, the case then went to the Florida Supreme Court. David I. Schoen, who is representing McBean's family in a federal civil rights lawsuit, expressed his own concerns about the ruling. Every unscrupulous law enforcement officer in Florida who kills a civilian now in suspicious circumstances will say he feared for his life, and even with witnesses saying otherwise, he walks and can't be arrested or charged or brought to trial after this decision, he said. It's an injustice. It really is. He also noted that the ruling places too much decision-making power on elected local judges, who often depend on support from police unions to win elections. Additionally, invoking stand your ground under these circumstances could mean that juries would be denied the opportunity to consider disputed evidence. Okay, as you see, the laws of this land, not just in Florida, but all around this country, are just not fair. They're simply not fair, and we've got to learn how to navigate through this. It's very unfortunate that we've now got to come up with strategic ways to deal with these issues in this country. Strategic. Now, when I say strategic, family, I'm saying that we need to sit down and devise ways on how to deal with the laws of this land, because they're not changing. Okay. As a matter of fact, in this case, you see they're getting worse, especially for so-called black people. And so more and more, I'm starting to see our people talking about these issues. I spoke with someone that I hadn't spoken with in a long time just the other day. And we got on the conversation about a particular thing in which race was a part of the conversation. Now, years ago, when I would speak to this person, they would say, well, you can't bring race into everything. Well, I just don't think race had anything to do with it. Well, you can't. That was the narrative, right? But now they have changed their tone completely. They say, well, you know what? A few years ago, I wouldn't have agreed with you that race had anything to do with it. But now I totally agree with you. With what we have been seeing, this person admitted that the things that they have been witnessing alone was enough for them to understand where I was coming from all of these years, right? And so more and more our people are starting to see these things, that there is a very clear racial bias in this country, in this world, but dealing with this country, it is off the chain. There are even other European nations that say, what's going on in America? You treat your blacks horrible, right? It's a shame when you are getting other European nations looking at America side-eyed, right? So Florida is just adding to that. They already had these laws that were favoring people like George Zimmerman, who after the fact has been all in the media just pretty much flexing like, hey, I got away with murder, okay, and I can do whatever I want. Who's going to do anything about it? That is the attitude that he has been portraying. And so we are seeing more and more that these people are coming undone. But what we've got to do, we've got to learn how to redirect our energy and our focus and figure out ways of navigating through all of this ignorance and this reprobate mind stuff that we are dealing with in this country. We've got to learn how to navigate through all of that. Not just in this country, but even other regions of the world. You see just so many things happening by those who rule the world. The scripture says that the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. So right now, they are at the top, but the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So right now they are riding this wave to the top, but that ride to the top is going to be met with an abrupt sink to the bottom very soon. And so we try to put as much good information out as we possibly can, trying to show people what is happening in this world, trying to wake our people up, trying to get our people to eat right, trying to get our people to think right, and try to get our people to serve the Most High Yah. And if you think that is a redirection in the wrong direction, hey, what can I say? But we are going to keep it moving. We're going to keep on bringing news. Like one brother said, Sister Deborah is like Channel 4 news to the bruise. So I'm going to keep on bringing this news, family, as long as time permits and as Yah wills. And hey, it is what it is, family. There's so much to talk about in this world. I have a whole list of things that I want to bring to you, family. So many different things. And some of the stories may get old and I just get them off my list, but I get them so fast that I can't keep up with them all because life goes on. But especially, I'm going to just talk about this real quickly. What they are doing to our environment, that is one of those things that we want to talk about more, because we need to be aware. It's not just police violence and killings and stuff like that, but it's also environmental things. It's also the food that we are eating, and so many different things that we need to consider, family. And so we're going to keep on bringing that information to you. Back to the news in Florida, we are not shocked. This is just what they do. When you have a reprobate mind, this is what you do, okay? And so navigating through all of this and redirecting our attention and our focus and our strategies, that's what we are all about. And that's what we want all of you to consider. How do we redirect our strategies on dealing with this stuff, okay? With that, family, I'm going to say I love you and shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.